Hey folks, Vince the Evil DM here, back with another edition of Railguns and Dragons, this time coming from you from a different location. I always like to change things up. Hopefully you're enjoying things here on the channel. Keep going along with this series and exploring Palladium Fantasy, 1st edition, and maybe we'll touch upon 2nd edition as well. I'm sure some of the books I touch upon will be 2nd edition, so it doesn't matter. A lot of stuff in here can be used in either edition for flavor, so it doesn't really matter how you work your game, just as long as you have a game, have fun with it, and everybody's on the same page. So I want to further explore again into another book, just briefly touch upon it and do my overview thoughts on it. And it's the book number 4, Adventures in the Northern Wilderness. It is a book that's out of print now. It's hard to... Well, I mean, you probably could find it if you go on eBay or something, but it's not that easy to find a decent copy of it. And it has been replaced by the Woven Empire book. Almost everything that's in this book, and look at that artwork on the back. I don't know, I love the artwork. Everything that's in this book has been added to the Woven Empire book in 2nd edition. So it's kind of an outdated book. It's only 96 pages, but... So this book deals with the northern wilderness, basically the Opie grasslands, the northern part of it, where there's snow and ice and things like that. And it touches upon those conditions inside the land. Talks about the Woven Empire. In fact, they give you a pretty decent looking map to show you what... I don't know if I can get this on screen, but we'll try. The positions of the Woven Empire and where their tribes are and how they're acting. Yeah, that's right over here. The Al Gore Mountains, home of the internet, Jeff. Player on my campaign. So it talks about the government, how they interact with one another, the tribes and things like that. There is a little bit touch upon winter survival and the cold and everything. So like I said, it was replaced in later books. But there is information in here to work on. I remember getting this book in, I don't know, was it 89, 90, around there? I think that's when the book came out. 89, yeah, first printing, 89. I picked this up at, of all places, a Toys R Us. And they had D&D books in there, and they had these other books in there. And I remember I couldn't buy D&D books because, you know, the Satanic Panic. But this book was fine because it didn't have Dungeons & Dragons on it. It had pretty much nothing. It said Palladium RPG. And my parents didn't know what Palladium RPG was. They just knew it wasn't Dungeons & Dragons, so... And it was one of the things I started playing around the time, so I remember picking this book up. And the reason why this really called out to me is because look at this artwork. And the background, the snow, the ice, summoning the dead and everything. I used to have a lot of fun going to my grandparents' house in upstate New York. Way upstate. They had it closer towards Canada. And they had their own little, I guess they would we called it the upstate house, or I guess the ranch house. It wasn't that big, but it was a lot of property, and I remember going there in the summers and the winters with my grandparents and, you know, having to mow the lawn or something like that. And that was a pain in the ass. But going up there in the wintertime, yeah, and my brother, we used to play in the woods by the creeks and everything. And it just reminded me, this whole scene reminded me, it didn't look like this, obviously, but it reminded me playing in those woods and running around, seeing what monsters we can come up with. And we'd throw rocks at things and, you know, oh my God, there's a monster coming out of the water. You know, we're kids. What do we care? But, I mean, I was about, 12, 13 at the time. Yeah, 1989, 12, 13 at the time, around there. So I still did do my exploring. It was a lot of fun traveling through there. But when I saw this book, it always reminded me of that area, traveling around and, stomping through the snow and the ice. So that's why this book I kind of is in my collection and I use it. I'm using it right now for a couple things in my campaign at rollhighordie.com. You can listen to it, or you can listen to the Too Long Didn't Listen video I have on here, and that'll give you some of the campaign so far. I'm going to keep doing those as I run my game. Next game is going to be in another week or so. We're just moving the days to accommodate a few more players in the group. But this book is probably a good book to have in your collection if you could find it, especially if you're playing 1E like I'm playing. It gives you all the information that you need. It has 6 adventures in here with some hooks. The adventures are pretty fleshed out, pretty interesting. I don't really like pre-made adventures, to be honest, and that's nothing against people that do. I don't like following pre-made adventures, but if you're a person that does, it has a bunch of pre-made adventures in here that you could follow and run with your group if you want. And it has some pretty detailed notes, and it gives you one thing that a lot of creatures are missing is the actual just quick stats. Because if you look at some of the earlier monster books, it gives you all the stats for creatures, but doesn't exactly give you the quick stats. So you have to do that as a GM and quickly stat up creatures how you want. But once you get it down, keep it on a little note card. Or if you find it in one of these little pre-made adventures and you like it, write it on a note card and just keep using it going forward. I don't know why they didn't exactly make a book that did that for you, but I guess they wanted to make everything so customizable for a GM, allow him to do what he wants to do when you're playing the game. So, but yeah, you can find this book for a decent price at half-price books or, a recycle books or whatever you call it. Or if you're online and you happen to see this book, I'd pick it up, especially if you want to read, because it gives you a really good detailed information about the tribes in the Woven Empire and how it was, written in the 1E days as opposed to the 2nd edition days. So, a little bit of a thin book, 96 pages, I believe it is. Yeah, I think I said that. 96 pages, yeah. And hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Take a look at the art one more time. Really love it. With that said, I'm going to head out. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.